Hello everyone, this is a recorded version of the MSD Parent and Family IREAD Nights that we've been having over the course of the month of January. If you missed it, no worries, here it is in a recorded version. If you'd like to have any access to these slides, you'll be able to get to them by typing in the bit.ly that you see at the bottom of the slide. It's bit.ly/IREAD family. If you type that into your phone or laptop or tablet, you'll be able to get to these slides, but I'll be going through all of the slides throughout this video. This QR code will also take you there. There are some resources that I've linked in the slides that you might want to access through the slides or through the QR code that I put up on the screen. We are so glad that you're able to view this video because we are excited about all of the work that's happening at MSD to support your student in becoming a reader, and we want to continue partnering with you to create even stronger readers throughout the community. The first thing I want to share with you is why we put such a huge emphasis on students being able to read. And one of the ways that we measure students being able to read is through IREAD 3, which is a test that's been developed by the state. And we are giving that to students in grades 2 and 3, and they are 35% more likely to graduate from high school if they pass this test. And this test really just tells us if they have the very foundational skills to be able to read. So we know that if students do well on this, they have a much more bigger chance of being able to be successful in high school and outside of high school. So it is really important that we work together with you to help as many students get there as we can. Another really important statistic is that it's important that we start helping students with reading early. And this is because a child is 90% likely to remain a poor reader if they are not proficient by the end of fourth grade. So it's really important at that elementary age that if they are having struggles with reading, we find the right thing to support them, whether that be with their phonemic awareness, can they hear those sounds, phonics, can they decode, are they fluent and able to read those words quickly? Is there a comprehension or a vocabulary issue? We're working really hard to figure out how to support that student best in those areas. The really good news is that 95% of all students can learn to read at basic levels of proficiency. So no matter what, 95% of students can get there. We just have to find the right ways to support that student in getting there. And sometimes that means additional time needed outside of school. And so we'll talk about some different opportunities for that as well. I do want to share with you some exciting information about how IREAD has improved. Our scores have improved over the course of the last 2 years. Last year, we had students take IREAD in second grade, and we also did 2 years ago in 2022. 2022 was the first year that we were able to give this test to our second graders, and we started by just doing it at 2 schools. And 34.7% of our students were able to pass or be on track. We'll talk about the difference between that in a little bit. And this last year, we had all of our schools involved in giving it in second grade, and we're able to get 58% of our students pass or be on track. And that's a 23.3% increase. And that really shows the commitment our community has had and our teachers have had to really supporting our readers. So we're very excited about that, but we're not there yet because we want to get to 95% of our second graders to that passing or on track indicator. Third grade has been given for several years, and in 2022 we were at 76.9%. We were able to grow 4% last year to be at 89% pass rate, but again, because we know 95% of our students are able to read at basic levels, we want that goal to be 95% for all third graders moving into fourth grade. So I just want to give you a quick overview of IREAD so that you know what that test looks like, and we can start having conversations with students to prepare them for it. And this is not so that we just teach the test. The test really is designed to help us know if a student has foundational problems with reading. And it's not just that we want them to pass, we want them to have the skills that they need to be able to pass so that they are successful in the future. The testing window for IREAD is going to open in early March. So you'll probably hear from your student that they'll be taking IREAD, and you'll probably hear from the school. And this will happen in early March. That first full week is when the window opens, and it's open for 3 weeks, and we help students get that completed. Again, it assesses those foundational reading skills. It's a timed test, so they have a certain amount of time to complete each portion of the test, and there are 3 parts. The first part is the reading foundations part, and this includes phonics and vocabulary. And really, in this section, students are being asked to be able to solve words and find words that have similar characteristics. So, like finding 2 words that both have a short vowel E sound. And then in the vocabulary sections, are they able to notice the relationships of words and how they fit together in a sentence? Comprehension is in parts 2 and 3, and for this section, students are reading a short passage and answering questions in those parts. This is also timed, so this is where the fluency part becomes really important. Students have to be able to read at a good pace so that they can complete the passage and answer the questions in the time that they are given. All of the questions are multiple choice for students, and second and third graders participate in this at MSD of Steuben County. Students must retest until they pass unless they receive a good cause exemption. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a couple more slides. To give you a little bit more information about the things that are included on the test, I'm sharing with you some types of questions that students might see. And students might see questions that start by asking them to be able to find a word that has the same sound. So this first one is find the word that has the same ending sound as hard, hard. So they have to look at these words, and bird, help, skate. Bird has that ending D, D sound, so they would select bird to be correct here. So again, they have to identify and produce those beginning, middle, and ending sounds in words. They also need to be able to understand the sounds of long and short vowels, including vowel teams. So for this, students need to be able to look at a word, hear that vowel sound, and choose a word that has the same vowel sound in it. So find the word that has the same vowel sound as the underlined word, left. They would look through, feel, belt, hold, had, and you can hear the in belt here and the in left, so belt would be the correct answer. From there, they'll move into some vocabulary type questions where they need to fill in the blank with a word that would make sense to complete the sentence. So here they would use context like close the front blank so the warm air stays inside. They have box, case, door, and lid. They would want to choose door here because that's the word that makes sense and completes that sentence. The next type of question they might have includes homonyms and homographs and multiple meaning words. So here they're given 2 sentences with a blank, but they have to choose a word that makes sense in both of the sentences. So the blank is coming down the track, and you can blank your dog to catch a ball. Well, we could put teach in here. You can teach your dog to catch a ball, but the teach is coming down the track doesn't make sense. So that one doesn't work, but train works for both. The train is coming down the track, and you can train your dog to catch a ball. Both of these options can work. They need to choose the one that works in both sentences. The next part is a nonfiction part, and there are different questions that can be asked based on a passage that they're reading. And just as a reminder, nonfiction are those passages that there is true facts where students are learning real information. The first type of question they can have is just typical ask and answer questions to demonstrate the comprehension of the text. Which fact about boats best shows why? Why does, and which sentence from the passage best shows? And you would just fill in the blank with content that goes with the text that the student is reading or the information that's in that text. The next one is being able to identify the main ideas and details. So here the question would be like, what is, and they'd put in the passage title, mostly about? Or what is the main idea of the passage? And students need to think about all the information that's included and determine what the main idea is or what it's mostly about, what they're reading, within what they're reading. The next one is to describe the relationship between a series of events and ideas. So here they need to be able to tell what happened in order, what happened first, or what happened before this happened, or what was the first way that something was happening. So all of those are important within nonfiction, along with being able to use text features to gain understanding of a text. So an author might include in a passage a caption or a picture or a heading. And with those, when those are included, we need to be able to get extra information from those. So questions might be, which idea from the article does the picture help explain? Or what does the heading help the reader understand? And then also that chronological order that we talked about, along with problem and solution. So which event happened before this? And what was the problem? And here's like a specific example. What did Deborah do after she got home from school? That would be more chronological. But for problem and solution, what is a problem in the passage that you're reading? And were there solutions given to solve that problem? Fiction is the other part of the test, and these are stories that are made up or not real. They could happen in the real world, but they're not necessarily true stories. And here are the types of questions students might see with fiction. Very similar to the nonfiction here, just simple questions asking about the text. Again, here you'll see that characters now included, and you would fill in these blanks with specific things from the text. Being able to retell a story. So, which sentence explains what happens in the passage? What did the author want you to learn from the passage? And what is the theme or overall message of the story or passage? Being able to describe characters is important here. Why does a character do something? Which word best describes a character or their feelings? And what does that character do when something happens in the story? So here's some specific examples of what that might look like. And then lastly, some questions about making predictions about what could happen next in the story. So what will the character most likely do next? What can the reader predict will happen the next time? And with these, we want students to be able to think about those characters and what's happening in the story and make sure that those predictions could actually happen based on what they've read within the text. So with IREAD, you will get a report. If your student is a third grader right now, they likely received one at the end of second grade to tell you where they were. If they're currently a second grader, they do not have a report at this time. They will after they are given the test in March. This is an example of what a second grade report will look like. At the top, you'll see your student's name, their date of birth, their STN, which is their student number, and we'll talk about a way that you might want to use that STN with something coming up. You'll see their grade level in school, and then you'll see their score here, as well as what their score meant. So was it a pass, was it an on track, or an at risk? And then you'll also see their lexile, which is the level of text that they're able to read at currently. If they pass, you'll see an NA there because there's not a Lexile given if they pass the test. Down here, you'll see the test starts at 200 and goes all the way up to 650 points. If a student is between the green, they're at that pass rate. The yellow is on track. So in second grade, that would mean they're on track to pass in third grade. And the red is at risk. And those are if a student is there, that means that the school and you will want to partner together on how to support that student so that they can pass in third grade. Down here, you'll see that pass again because the student passed and some information with that. And at the very bottom, you'll be able to see each of those parts of the test that I was talking about. You'll see the foundations and vocabulary, the nonfiction, and the literature, which is also fiction. You'll also see the percent that that student was able to get correct in each of those sections. So we can see where strengths and weaknesses are with students. This particular report shows that this student had a really good foundation in vocabulary and really good understanding of fiction text, but if we wanted to support them further, we could support them with nonfiction texts in those questions. So when we get this report, it gives us really good information on how we can act moving forward. Here is just the different categories for passing again. You can see down here that second grade, that 446 to 650 is a pass, 405 to 445 is on track. Anything below that is at risk. And then the third grade, because students are expected to pass this at the end of third grade, it's just a pass or did not pass. So I want to talk to you about the different ways that, or different things that happen based on how students perform on IREAD. The first thing is that for second grade, it is not required that students pass. We would really like to see students pass or be on track because that means that they are prepared for the grades ahead. So we want as many students to pass or be on track as possible. But it is kind of low stakes at this point in second grade. We are able to give them lots of instruction in third grade if they don't pass, and even at the end of second grade to support them passing moving forward. So it looks very simple for second grade. If they pass in second grade, the student is moved to third grade and will not have to retest on IREAD again. If the student does not pass an IREAD, they could be promoted to third grade, and we'll just give them targeted supports and retest them the next year in third grade. Sometimes there might be specific students that the data is telling us that we need to retain them in second grade or keep them in second grade another year so that they can get the correct support that they need. And that might be a conversation that happens between families and the principal and the teacher. Third grade is a lot more complex. And this is because at the end of third grade, we want as many students as possible passing so that they have the best chances moving forward in their educational career. If a student passes, just like in second grade, they're moved on to fourth grade, and they do not need to take IREAD again. If a student does not pass, there's lots of different ways moving forward for them. Again, this happens in early March. We know pretty quickly if they pass or do not pass. When we figure that information out, we are then able to give them specific interventions and help to support them, because they are able to take the test again in the summer. So this can happen at the end of May all the way through the summer months. So if a student does not pass in March and is a third grader, we highly recommend that they attend summer school with us. This provides them the opportunity to have April, May, and some of June to get additional reading support to help them pass the IREAD test. If summer school is not an option, we can test them before school is out in May. But we like to give them the extra time in June if they're able to join summer school and give that test during summer school as well. Now, if a student does not pass in that summer window, either at the end of May or in June, we have then some other ways moving forward. The first thing that can happen is that student does not pass, and we have that student repeat third grade. So they go to third grade again and continue to get the support from the teacher to help them be able to possibly pass moving forward. Now, if a student is in third grade twice, they are eligible for something called a good cause exemption. And what that means is we are meeting and we are creating a plan for that student moving forward. We can go ahead and promote them to fourth grade, but we're going to continue to put supports in place for that student so that we can help them become a better reader in the years to come, because reading is so important to that student's future. If a student has a disability and the committee decides to give a good cause exemption, we will promote them to fourth grade and again give them all the supports that we can. Same for English learners. So students that are learning English, we can give that good cause exemption to, and they can be promoted to fourth grade. Right now, students can also just be promoted to fourth grade without having to repeat third grade. But we know that it is so important that they become good readers before the end of fourth grade because it's really hard to catch up. So the state will likely make some changes to this in the law, and we expect that to be different within the next year or so. So we'll keep you updated on that. With all of this, I want you to know how hard the people in our buildings at MSD are working to support your students. We are working tirelessly because this is very urgent and we want your students to have the most success possible moving forward. And so our teachers are going through ongoing professional development. All of our kindergarten through second grade teachers, including some of our third grade teachers, have been letters trained, which is an amazing program where our teachers have worked together to make shifts to their instruction to support the science of reading aligned practices that are included within the training. This means that our teachers have worked during their lunches, after school, before school, weekends, to make sure that they are giving your students the most high quality instruction that they can. They've also done some curriculum mapping to ensure that all of the standards are taking place throughout the school year and they are happening at the right time with the right texts. And they continue to do unit planning during our Wednesday mornings where we have an hour delayed start. We are so thankful to you for making that work within the community because it is very powerful for our teachers to get that time to be able to best support your students. We have targeted small group instruction that happens during our 2-hour reading blocks that happen K to 5. So we are looking kid by kid, thinking about exactly what they need and grouping them with students like them so that we can give them the best supports that they need. We have intervention blocks where title, EL, and special ed are pulling students to give specialized instruction. And the students that do not get title, EL, and SPED services are staying with their teacher to get additional practice. We have targeted IREAD preparations happening. It's already started in our buildings. It began in early January and it continues all the way through. We progress monitor, which means we give students assessments to make sure that our instruction, what we're doing in the classroom, is helping them move and helping them become better readers. So every other week, we are assessing how students are doing and we are moving forward. We are also providing after-school tutoring, and I'll be sharing more information about this soon, but you should have already received a permission slip to sign your student up for this. Lastly, happening at school, we were awarded a $300,000 Science of Reading grant, and we are excited to get additional professional development for our teachers, additional instructional materials to support our students' learning, and we've created an early literacy task force to really look at all of the things that we're doing within our buildings to ensure that it's aligned to the science of reading and is giving us the best results to make sure our students are able to read at the end of third grade. Here are some ways that we'd love your support at home as we partner together to make this happen. The first is establishing a reading routine. There's so much research saying how important it is that students read outside of school, even if it's just 20 minutes. It's going to support them becoming a better reader and moving forward. Helping find books that interest your child is really important so that they are excited about reading and want to do it. Finding partners that can support you and or your child. The first stop for that is with your teacher. They know your students so well and they know what they need, and they are going to be able to support you in supporting them at home. Reading aloud to your child is really, really important. It helps build the comprehension and vocabulary that students need to be successful. And asking questions using question stems can be really helpful too. So, as your students are reading at home, sitting next to them and asking them specific questions is huge. And so soon, you'll be seeing question stems coming home to you, and you will be able to ask these specific questions as you are reading with them. These questions are similar to the ones that you saw, and you are going to be able to just have this laminated next to you as you read with them. The other thing that you're going to be able to see is a game that's coming home to you. Here's a quick picture of the question stems. There's nonfiction ones as well as fiction stems that you can use to ask questions as you're reading with them. Back to the presentation, the reading activities and games that are coming home to you, we have one example that we'll be sharing with you. It's a vocabulary activity, and just so that you are aware of the directions, there's going to be some cards to cut out, and then the last page is kind of a recording sheet. And how this works is students are going to lay out all of the words, and then they're going to match the sentences to the word so that they can complete the sentence to make it make sense. So here's the words, here's the sentences, here are the sentences. The blank on the tree is rough. I hope that the dog doesn't blank all night. They would look for the word that would make sense with both of those. They would likely choose bark, and they would put bark between those sentences. The bark on the tree is rough. I hope the dog doesn't bark all night. From there, they would go to the recording sheets, write the word bark, and write the two different meanings of bark. Bark is something that a dog does to communicate, and bark is the outer part of a tree trunk. Just to practice that words do have those multiple meanings. Again, making connections is really important, and making connections and celebrating that reading, being a model of reading for your child, and supporting high student attendance. Students that come to school on time often are going to have the best shot because they're getting the instruction that they need. Many of our reading blocks, our ELA blocks, start first thing in the morning at 8 o'clock. So it's really important that they arrive to school on time. Otherwise, they're missing that reading instruction that we know is so important. I talked earlier about the IREAD readiness groups that are coming, and this has been sent home to you in a sign-up permission slip form. Tuesdays and Thursdays from February 13th to February 29th from 3 to 4:30, students are able to stay after school and get with a highly trained teacher, administrator, or instructional assistant to get additional practice to move forward. This will be from 3 to 4:30 again, and transportation is provided if needed. So we will have busing available to you to get students home, or you're welcome to pick them up, have them walk, or send them to base camp. Please sign up today at the end of our presentation. And again, this is just for Carlin Park, Henry Park, and Ryan Park. Pleasant Lakes is a little bit different. It's from 7:30 to 8:15 on Wednesday mornings, and or after school from 2:30 to 3 on Wednesdays. Please sign up for this. And then I also just want to share some additional ways that you can support your students. The first is there's an Indiana Learns grant that some families will be eligible for. You have to be a resident in Indiana, your student has to attend an Indiana school from 3rd through 8th grade, and they have to qualify for free or reduced lunch. And the student needs to score below proficiency in either math or English language arts in 2022 to receive this. I talked earlier about the STN. The STN is important here because you'll be able to check to see if your student is eligible by typing in their STN here and putting in their date of birth and clicking the search. From there, you'll be able to see if you're qualified and the details for using that grant money, which is $1,000 to get additional tutoring. So please fill that out and see if your family or your student is eligible for that. If you do want to check this out, the link to that is right down here at the bottom, or you can use this QR code to get there or this link here. The next thing I want to share with you is the Indiana Learning Lab. You can get to that in a lot of different ways. You can go to the slide deck and click, use this QR code, or type in this link, and it will take you to the Learning Lab. This is a place that teachers have been gathering for a while now to get additional training, but they now have a portion dedicated just to families and parents. So if you want to sign up, you can do that by clicking on these boxes here and filling them out, or logging in with Google if you've got a Google account. I'm going to do that now to show you how to get into the resources. But once you're in, you'll see at the top there's a Hubs button. If you click on Hubs, you'll see a Parent and Family Support Hub. Here you'll be able to see resources dedicated to different levels of students all the way from birth through grade 12. If you click into those, you'll see resources geared towards different content areas. So if you wanted to look at English language arts, you could do that. And here are resources that are going to support you in helping your student at home. When you click into a resource, you'll then see either a video like this or an article that you can click on and read to really support your student at home. Also, there are live events that are available, and you can sign up to join people that are presenting to you live. The next thing I want to share with you is the Florida Center for Reading Research website. This website is where I got the game with the multiple meaning words that I shared with you just a little bit ago, but there are plenty more resources here that you can use at home to support your student to get additional practice. One thing I would really recommend is to reach out to your student's teacher, and they would likely be able to give you specific activities that would make sense for that student based on the data that they have. So if you go to second and third grade here at the top left, you're going to see there's phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension activities. If your student has a good handle on phonemic awareness, this might not be an area that you want to focus on. And that's why I said consulting your teacher is really great for this. Maybe they need to focus on vocabulary. I could click vocabulary, and here are all of the vocabulary games and activities that I could do with my student to support them. I chose the multiple meaning match activity to share with you at home, but there are plenty more for you here to explore and use. They don't necessarily need to be printed. You could totally pull them up on your student's Chromebook and be able to use those there as well. Another resource that I want to share with you is not necessarily for students that are in grades 2 and 3, but it is an opportunity that we have now as a partnership through the state with Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. This is for students or children that are 0 to 5 years old. They now can go and if you sign them up, they can be given a book every month from the age 0 to 5. And that's a book that you can share with them, you can read to them, because reading to students that are not in school yet is very important in their development as well. And another great thing with this is the Indiana Learning Lab provides additional activities that go with each of the books that are delivered to your doorstep. You can use this link or QR code to get to see if you to get to the sign up. Once you're there, you'll just have to type in some information like where you're from, your zip code, your state, your city, and student. And this is just to make sure that we're eligible, and we are as Indiana residents now. You'll click continue, and from there it will take you to a page to sign up. So you'll just check some boxes, type in some information about your address, and those books will start shipping to you every month. You also have a way to do this by mail or in person, but if you're able to do it online, that is the easiest way to get that done. Again, we want to support all students in their reading journey, even at 0 years old. That's all I have for you throughout this recording. Thank you so much for partnering with us. Thank you so much for investing in your students' reading success. We're so glad to have you as a partner, and please reach out to your school if there are any additional ways that we can support you at home. Thank you all for all that you do for your students, and we are so, so lucky to partner with you. And if you do have those questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Bye, everyone.